My beloved child, place your hand over your chest for a moment and allow every hurried rhythm within you to quiet down. I do not call you with thunder to startle you, nor do I pull you by the taut rope of anxiety. I call you with truth wrapped in love, because I see what you have grown accustomed to passing by without noticing. There have been seasons when you moved so quickly that you began to believe silence was emptiness, that slowing down meant falling behind, that rest was a luxury reserved only for those who were finished. But my child, I did not create you to live like a lamp forced to burn endlessly until its wick is consumed. I formed you with rhythm, with breathing spaces, with a balance between doing and abiding. And when that rhythm is lost, the first thing that withers is not only the body, but your ability to listen, your clarity of direction, and the tenderness of your heart before my presence. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to return a compass to your hands, for if you continue walking by sheer momentum, you will drift far from where I intend to lead you, not because I have changed my mind, but because you have learned to endure instead of lean, to carry the weight instead of entrusting it. There have been very small signs passing through your life, like a gentle knock on a door, like a leaf falling early before the season is turned. You heard them, but you placed them in the compartment labeled later, telling yourself that if you just pushed a little more, everything would be fine. You have grown accustomed to tension stretched like a tightened string and begun to call it normal, accustomed to waking up before your heart has had time to be renewed, accustomed to a kind of weariness that does not sit in the muscles, but deeper in the place that is long gone without enough water of peace. You have learned to run on willpower, to replace nourishment with discipline, gentleness with responsibility. And my child, willpower can take you far, but it cannot keep you whole unless you return to the source. I see how you have tried to be strong, tried to appear okay, tried to meet what others expect, and while you worked to keep everything from collapsing, you quietly abandoned yourself, not out of selfishness, but out of fear of disappointing others, fear of judgment, fear of being seen as weak. But I tell you, this weakness is not a sin. The danger lies in turning weakness into something you must hide, until you find yourself alone in your own battle. Listen to me slowly now. I am placing you before a crossroads. This turning point is not loud like a major event, but it is as serious as the morning you decide how you will live. You may continue as before, still doing, still straining, still compressing, still postponing, and you will pay with things you never intended to lose: the clarity of your mind, the softness of your emotions, and the endurance of your body. Or you may choose another way, not the path of laziness, but the path of wisdom, not an escape from life, but a return to order, not the abandonment of responsibility, but the placing of responsibility where it belongs. I am not asking you to do something great on the first day. I am inviting you to do something true, to look honestly, to name things rightly, and to begin changing with small but decisive steps. Psalm 4:610 says, "Be still, and know that I am God." My child, stillness is not meaningless emptiness. It is the doorway through which you recognize who is truly steering your life. In stillness, you hear more clearly what is eroding you. In stillness, you discern what burdens you have placed upon yourself and what burdens I have given. In stillness, you no longer need to prove your worth, because you remember that you are already loved. Understand this: I do not call you into obsession or self-condemnation. I do not ask you to examine every symptom through fear. I call you into gentle awareness, a way of being awake that knows how to pause, how to ask, how to care, how to receive help. There are very practical things you may need to do as acts of honoring what I have placed within you: real rest, balanced eating, reducing constant stimulation, returning to healthy sleep rhythms, drinking enough water, seeking medical care when needed, and saying no to schedules that cause your soul to shrink. Do not think these things are insignificant. Healing often begins with small decisions repeated faithfully. I have placed wisdom in simplicity. Only pride seeks miracles while ignoring loving discipline. And if you need to see a professional for evaluation, go. This is not a lack of faith. Faith is not closing your eyes. Faith is walking in the light. Using the upright means I have allowed to exist to protect life. My child, what I am doing to you is not merely keeping you from a breakdown. I am teaching you a new way of living, the way of one who abides in me to receive strength. You once believed you had to strain yourself to prove resilience. But I say, true strength is knowing how to return. You once believed endurance was the mark of maturity. But I say true maturity is choosing what nourishes rather than what burns you dry. You once feared that if you stopped, everything would fall apart. But I say there are things that remain secure only when you set them down and let me carry them. When you grip too tightly, you believe you are controlling, but in truth, you are suffocating what I intend to renew. There are doors within you that have been locked, not because I left, but because you have lived in tension so long that peace has become unfamiliar. Today, I unlock those doors with this word: you are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to return. You are not a machine. You are my child. I remind you of a sacred truth: your life is not separate from your body. Do not treat your body as a tool to be exhausted just to finish tasks. Do not regard it as a temporary garment to be discarded. Your body is where I breathed life into you. It is the vessel I entrusted to you for the journey. 1 Corinthians 6:1-9 says, your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, not so you would boast, but so you would honor it. When you treat that temple with harshness, you place yourself into a quiet famine, and that famine does not only hunger for food or sleep, but for a return to the love that nourished you from the beginning. I have not been far from you. I have not stood aside watching you struggle. I am here close enough to know even the sighs you try to hide, close enough to know the evenings when you smile at others while feeling empty inside, close enough to know how often you promised yourself, tomorrow I will be lighter, only to slip back into the old cycle. Therefore, I do not command you with pressure. I offer you an invitation: choose a different kind of week. You do not need to make everything perfect. You only need to make it different. Set an anchor each day: a few minutes of quiet, a simple prayer, a deep breath, a clear decision that you will not allow tension to choose for you. Rearrange your time so you can sleep well. Reduce what fills your mind with noise. Step away from conversations that drain you. Go outside and walk slowly. Eat more cleanly. Drink more water. Tidy your living space so it no longer overwhelms you. And if you need to speak to someone about what you are carrying, speak. Do not isolate yourself. I did not create you to fight alone. I will place the right people along your path, not to replace me, but to become the hands I use to support you when you are weak. You only need to learn one thing: receive help without shame, and refuse burdens that are not yours without guilt. The word I speak to you today is a lamp in the mist. It is not meant to make you tremble. It is meant to help you see the path. You have not been abandoned. You do not need to reach the point of collapse before you are allowed to change direction. You are being called back into order, into a rhythm of life that carries my breath. If you obey the small things I place before you, you will be surprised to see vitality return like rain, soaking into dry ground, not loud. but certain, not dramatic, but enduring. And when you are restored, you will understand this. I am not merely keeping you from something bad. I am preparing you for something better, deeper, brighter. You only need to begin with a very gentle, very honest, very simple, "Yes, Father, I am coming home. Teach me to live again in your rhythm, my child." The moment you whispered that yes within, even if you have not spoken it aloud, I heard it as the sound of a small door opening inside a stifling room. Do not underestimate that moment. Many believe that change must begin with a great event, a dramatic decision, a declaration that shakes the world, but I most often begin in hidden ways, a long exhale, a moment when you stop forcing yourself, a quiet admission that says, "I am overwhelmed. I am teaching you to return to a truth you have forgotten. Your worth is not found in the speed at which you run, nor in the number of burdens you carry. Your worth is found in relationship, in belonging to me. When you try to prove your usefulness in order to be loved, you quietly exchange your place. You live as a hired worker rather than as a child. And then you labor endlessly without being filled, because a hired worker fears dismissal. But a child belongs in the house. I do not love you because you perform well. I love you because you are my child. The more you live in that truth, the less you are driven by the pressure to be worthy, and the freer you become to choose what is good for your body, your mind, and your soul. Remember the story of Elijah, a man who once stood in the fire from heaven, yet later became so exhausted that he wanted to give up. I did not rebuke him for weakness. I let him sleep. I fed him. I guided him one step at a time. And then I spoke to him in a gentle whisper. Do you see? Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is not to try harder, but to obey by resting rightly, eating rightly, and becoming quiet rightly so that your soul can hear me clearly again. Therefore, I want you to enter this week as one enters a garden I have already prepared, where every small corner can become a place of restoration. Do not try to do everything at once, for that very habit of doing everything is what has exhausted you. I only ask that you choose a few clear things and keep them as you would keep a covenant of love with yourself. First, give your body a new signal tonight. Slow your pace a little earlier. Turn down what keeps your mind overstimulated. Allow your eyes to rest in darkness. Let your heart slow. Choose sleep as an act of worship, not out of laziness, but out of respect for the vessel I entrusted to you. Second, tend again to your source of nourishment. Eat more simply, more cleanly, more moderately. Reduce what overstimulates you and then drops you into depletion. Reduce the cycles of compensation through fast food, sugar, caffeine, and things that make you feel energized for a moment but are borrowed from tomorrow. Third, return to what is foundational for your body: water, sunlight, gentle movement, deep breathing. You do not need to turn yourself into a perfect person. You only need to stop treating yourself as a project that must be completed. And fourth, this is very important, give your mind a boundary. There are news feeds, stories, conversations, and constant screens that fill your mind with endless noise. You think you are only checking a little, but those small portions stack up into a mountain. Choose carefully. Dare to say, that is enough. When you protect your mind, you are also protecting your heartbeat, your nervous system, and your ability to sense peace. Do not hesitate to seek professional help when needed. That does not make you less spiritual. Wisdom is never opposed to trust. Rather, wisdom is mature. Trust you. Trust me enough to walk in the light, without hiding, without soothing yourself through denial. I also want to touch a deeper place, one that medication cannot reach if you keep covering it with busyness. Some of the tension you carry does not come from the present, but from a long-standing habit you learned to brace yourself in order to feel safe, to rely on yourself in order to avoid disappointment, to stand firm so that no one would see how fragile you feel. But that very standing firm, when turned into armor, hardens you and slowly wears you down. I am not asking you to remove the armor in a single day. I am only asking you to place it before me. Little by little, practice something very simple yet very powerful whenever you notice your body tightening. Pause. Place your hand on your chest or your abdomen. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out longer than you breathed in. And then say, "Father, I am carrying this alone. Please take it." Each time you do this, you are changing a habit from control to surrender, from contraction to opening, from self-carrying to walking with me. And as you practice, you will discover this truth: peace is not a feeling to chase. Peace is the result of restored order. Jesus said in Matthew 1:1-8, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." My child, coming to me is not only a prayer, it is a daily choice. You come to me when you sleep on time instead of pushing further. You come to me when you say no to unreasonable schedules. You come to me when you eat to nourish rather than to numb. You come to me when you seek medical care instead of delaying in fear. You come to me when you stop condemning yourself and begin to care for yourself. And you will see that this week no longer feels like a race, but becomes a way back home, a place where I gently rebuild the foundation, restore the rhythm, and renew your strength. What is gradually returning within you will not only be health, it will also be inner clarity, the ability to rejoice without proving anything, calmness in the face of life's demands, and a new kind of steadiness, not because you are gripping tighter, but because you have learned to lean on me. As you walk through what I have just led you to see, I want you to know that the process opening before you is not a series of cold commands, but a journey covered with deeply personal care. I do not repair you like a hurried craftsman patching a crack to meet a deadline. I tend you like a gardener who understands the season, the soil, and the roots. There are things I am doing that do not happen on the surface, where you are used to measuring by immediate sensation, but in deeper layers, where old habits have taken root over many years. You will not always feel better right away, and that does not mean I am absent. There will be days when you wake feeling lighter, and days when the weight returns. Do not rush to conclusions. Restoration is rarely a straight line. It is a path with turns, where I teach you to recognize progress not by excitement, but by endurance, by staying rather than running away, by adjusting rather than condemning yourself, by returning to me even when you feel you are not yet good enough. I am training you in small faithfulness, because the greater things I am preparing for you require a foundation that knows how to keep rhythm. When you begin to honor healthy limits, opposing voices may arise from outside and from within. On the outside, some will not understand why you are slowing down. They are accustomed to a version of you who is always available, always carrying the load. On the inside, you may hear familiar whispers. Am I being selfish? Am I weak? Am I neglecting something, my child? These questions are not new. They are traces of an old belief that you must trade your health for acceptance. I am not calling you to argue with every voice. I am calling you to set a simple standard. Does this draw you closer to me or farther away? Does it bring you more peace or more constriction? Does it make you more honest or push you to wear another mask? Fruit does not lie. A good tree bears good fruit. When you learn to look at the fruit, You will wander less in a maze of justifications. You will begin to see that some invitations, though seemingly harmless, slowly drain you. That some habits, though considered normal, steal your sleep, your presence, your simple joy. I do not reveal these things to shame you. I reveal them to free you. In the days ahead, allow me to rearrange your living space, not only your room, but your inner rooms. You may begin with very practical actions, removing what overwhelms you, letting natural light in, reorganizing your sleeping space so it becomes a place of rest rather than a place where thinking continues, placing your phone away from the bed, creating a quiet corner where you can speak with me without interruption. Alongside these visible changes, I am also inviting you to clear an invisible space, releasing concerns you cannot control, closing the inner dialogues that keep repeating self-accusation, ending the habit of carrying responsibility for others when I have not assigned it. You do not need to sever every relationship. You only need to reset boundaries so that life has room to breathe. Boundaries are not walls meant to push others away. They are frames that allow healthy air to enter. When you set boundaries with integrity, you are saying yes to what I am building and no to what is dismantling you. I also want you to understand how I work with fear. I do not condemn fear. I train it. When fear is placed rightly, it slows you down so you can listen, makes you careful to seek my counsel, and humbles you to receive help. But when fear takes the wheel, it magnifies risk, shrinks grace, and convinces you that standing still is safe. The truth is this: standing still in a season when I am calling you to adjust is not a safety. It is a delay with an increasing cost. I am not asking you to leap into blind risk. I am inviting you into courage, courage to change pace, courage to admit exhaustion, courage to ask for help, courage to say enough, courage to choose life over familiar habits. This courage is not loud. It is forged in small, repeated choices. And each time you choose rightly, I reinforce the foundation a little more. Remember this when you feel unsteady. I do not wait for you to be perfect before I act. I act when you are willing. You may come to me very simply, Father. I do not know where to begin, but I allow you. When you open even a narrow crack, light enters, and light does not need much space to do its work. There will be nights when you sleep more deeply, mornings when you wake lighter, moments when you notice yourself responding differently, less tense, less rushed, more compassionate toward yourself. Do not dismiss these changes. They are evidence that a new order is being established, and as that new order grows firm, you will witness a very ordinary miracle. You will have energy to live, not merely to survive. As you step into this new order, resistance may arise not from any power greater than me, but from old momentum within you. Long-standing habits will attempt to pull you back. Do not panic. You do not need to fight with strained willpower. You only need to return to what I have set in place: rhythms of sleep, eating, breathing, prayer. Work with rest. Each time you return, you withdraw energy from the old loop and feed the new path. And if you slip, do not berate yourself. Responsibility opens doors. Self-punishment closes them. Responsibility says, "This needs to be corrected." Self-punishment says, "I am what needs fixing." I do not stand with self-punishment. I stand with truth, healed by grace. I am with you in every step of adjustment. I do not leave you alone with a list of tasks. I walk with you, reminding you to pause when needed, urging you forward when the time comes, and covering you with peace as you learn to live differently. What I am doing within you will soon become visible outwardly, in brighter eyes, in a gentler voice, in the ability to say no without guilt, in small joys returning. You will realize that what once felt like loss slowing down, doing less, carrying less was actually the doorway to a fuller life. And when you stand steady in this new rhythm, you will be ready for what I want to speak next, not only preservation, but reordering, not only recovery, but preparation. My beloved child, now that you have learned to slow down and reset the breath of your life, I lead you into another depth, the depth of discernment. This is not an ability reserved for a few special people, nor a vague gift that appears only in rare moments. Discernment is a skill I desire to teach all, my children, because you do not lose your way merely because you are weak, but often because you have listened to the wrong voice. You live among many voices at once, the voice of responsibility, the voice of expectation, the voice of fear, the voice of ambition, the voice of old memories, and also my voice. They intertwine and overlap, sometimes sounding so similar that you mistake them for one. And when you are tired, any voice can sound convincing. That is why I do not begin by speaking louder. I begin by making you quieter. In stillness, my voice becomes clearer. In stillness, falsehood is exposed. In stillness, you learn to distinguish what is driving you to run from what is inviting you to remain. Not everything that makes sense comes from me. Not every open door is a path I want you to take. Some opportunities glitter but cause your soul to shrink. Some invitations are polite but drain your strength. Some decisions seem timely yet move you farther from me. Discernment does not first ask, "Is this beneficial?" Discernment asks, "Where does this lead me? Do you draw closer to me or farther away when you consider it? Do you feel more peace or more restlessness, more courage or more panic?" Fruit does not lie. A good tree does not bear bad fruit, and a voice from heaven does not produce shame. It produces healthy repentance, a turning that leads to freedom. If a voice makes you hate yourself more, despise truth more, and recoil from light more, then no matter how moral or efficient it appears, it does not come from me. In this season, I place before you several pivotal choices, not to test you with pressure, but to mature you through wisdom. You have grown accustomed to deciding quickly just to get things done, to agreeing in order to keep peace, to carrying the load so nothing falls apart. But those habits, though they once helped you survive, no longer fit where I am leading you. I am teaching you a new rhythm of decision-making. Pause, examine, choose. Pause so your body can register what is happening. Examine so your soul can listen. Choose so your will can take its rightful place. When you pause, you refuse to let fear drive. When you examine, you allow light in. When you choose, you sign your name to a future, not with a loud declaration, but with repeated faithfulness. Here is your English translation, rendered faithfully with a reverent, intimate tone, preserving the depth, cadence, and flowing paragraph structure of the original, without breaking it into fragmented sentences. I want you to learn how to recognize the weight of a decision. Some things appear small yet carry great weight because they are repeated every day, while other things appear large but touch only briefly before passing. True weight is not found in the initial excitement, but in the quiet consequences that follow. Ask yourself this: is it sustainable? Does it nourish or does it drain? Does it make you more honest in how you live, or more performative? You do not need perfect answers, you only need honest ones. Honesty opens the way for me to do the rest. James 1:5 says that if anyone lacks wisdom, let them ask, and I give generously without reproach. Wisdom is not knowing everything. Wisdom is knowing how to ask rightly and how to wait fully. When you allow time to do its work, neither rushing nor delaying, you will see that what does not belong to you will fall away on its own, like dry leaves meeting the wind. Discernment is not only about choosing what is right, but also about releasing what is right to release. Some things are not wrong, but their season has ended. Some relationships are not toxic, but they no longer nourish. Some rhythms once fit well, but now feel like a narrowing frame. Letting go is not betrayal. Letting go is honoring the season. When you hold on to what has already fulfilled its purpose, you choke the space meant for what is new. You do not need to sever things in anger. You can close them with gratitude. When you close rightly, your heart remains soft, and a soft heart is where I work most powerfully. In this process, I invite you to practice a very simple yet very deep exercise whenever an invitation, an idea, or a decision presents itself. Do not react immediately. Pause. Let your breathing slow. Ask 3 short questions. Does this draw me closer to you or farther from you? What fruit will this bear in 1 month? 3 months? 1 year? Am I choosing from peace or from fear? You do not need long answers. Often a clear inner sense is enough. As you practice this consistently, you are training your inner senses. Gradually, you will hear more quickly, more clearly, and more calmly. And you will be surprised to find that many difficult decisions become simpler not because they are easy, but because light has entered. I know there are moments when you fear listening wrongly because you have listened wrongly before. Do not be afraid when you realize there was confusion in your past. I do not use that to accuse you. I use it to teach you. No one learns discernment without a few adjustments along the way. What matters is not that you have never been wrong. What matters is that you stay to learn. When you stay, I adjust. When you run, you repeat. So if you find yourself hesitating, do not scold yourself. Stay. Stay in stillness. Stay in asking. Stay in the healthy rhythms you have begun. I will not leave you halfway through the lesson. I want to place an anchor in your heart as you walk through this season of discernment. I do not lead you through ambiguity. I do not play hide and seek with my children. I lead with light, sufficient for the next step. You do not need to see the entire road. You only need to see this step. When you walk faithfully in the light you have, the next light will open. And when you choose this way slow, honest, and ordered, you will notice that the fatigue that once left you confused begins to give way to steady clarity. Not because life has fewer demands, but because you have learned to hear the right voice. My beloved child, there are things that are right but mistimed, things that are good but arrive too early or too late, and things that seem ordinary yet become the key to a door I am holding. You have grown weary from doing the right thing at the wrong time. And you have also missed moments by waiting to feel certain enough while the moment passed. That is why I teach you to listen to heaven's rhythm, not so you will anxiously chase it, but so you may walk in harmony. That rhythm is neither rushed nor delayed. It is slow enough to keep you from stumbling, clear enough to keep you from wandering. Pay attention to a very subtle sign of right timing inner agreement. Agreement is not impulsive excitement, nor is it false calm born of avoidance. Agreement is a gentle movement in the deepest place of your being, where you stop keeping me at the margins and stop keeping yourself in the shadows. You may speak very simply, Father, I do not know where to begin, but I allow you. When you allow it, you open a narrow opening. Light enters through that opening. and light does not need much space to do its work. Many wait for absolute certainty before stepping forward. I teach you to step when there is enough light for one step. Light for the whole road is not the condition of faith. Light for the next step is the daily grace I give. In this season, I will show you doors that need to be closed before I open another. Closing is not driven by fear, but by order. Some doors, if left ajar, allow old winds to extinguish a new flame. Close the cycles that drain you, extended commitments that no longer carry life, consuming habits that fill your mind with noise, inner conversations that repeat self-accusation. Closing does not require grand declarations. Often it is simply a quiet but firm decision, not responding immediately, not taking on more, not continuing a rhythm that empties you. When you close right, you will feel lighter, not because you have escaped responsibility, but because you have returned responsibility to its proper place. At the same time, I will open small doors, humble pathways filled with life. Do not look for the loud doors. Look for the doors that carry life after passing through. You may be tired from learning something new, but not depleted. You may feel uncertain from unfamiliarity, but not confused. You may need to adjust, but you do not lose yourself. The fruit of such doors is endurance, not fleeting glory. Their fruit is a deeper presence with me and with others. Their fruit is a quiet joy that needs no proof. When you taste this fruit, you will know you are walking in the right season. My child, I want you to recognize a familiar trap, the fear of missing your season. Fear of missing out drives haste. Fear of missing out leads you to accept what was never given. Fear of missing out makes you sign agreements without peace. But hear me clearly. You cannot miss what I have prepared for you if you remain faithful. What belongs to you does not slip through your hands when you walk slowly. It slips only when you step out of order. I do not measure seasons by the world's calendar. I measure them by the readiness of the heart. Some things I delay not because you are slow, but because I am protecting you from a weight you are not yet meant to carry. And some things I urge not because you lack, but because you are more ready than you think. In discerning timing, I teach you to observe the flow of energy, not emotional highs, but sustainable energy. When you step into what is in season, energy does not explode and burn out. It flows steadily. You may be tired at the end of the day, but you still want to return the next morning. You may face difficulty, but difficulty does not close you off. By contrast, when you step into what is out of season, a clear sign appears: depletion. The more you push, the more exhausted you become, the more you strain. The more confused you feel, the more you explain. The more peace slips away. Do not ignore this sign. It does not condemn you, it guides you. I place people around you as mirrors not to decide for you, but to reflect what you have not yet seen. Some will ask questions that unsettle you not because they oppose you, but because they touch places you have been avoiding. Some will offer timely silence so you can hear more clearly. Learn to receive from them without becoming dependent on them. If counsel brings you more peace and greater honesty, consider it. If it makes you smaller and more fearful, set it down. I am the one ultimately responsible for your path, yet I delight in using community to keep you humble and safe. Right timing often comes with simplicity. When everything becomes overly complex, pause. I do not lead you into a maze. I lead you along a path with sufficient light. Ask again, what is essential? What small step do I need to take today when you return to what is essential? Many options fall away on their own, and you will discover that discerning timing does not add pressure. It brings lightness. Lightness because you no longer have to carry the entire future on your shoulders. Your future rests in my hands. Your part is this step. I want to give you a practical anchor each evening. Look back over your day and ask 3 short questions, not to condemn yourself, but to learn. What brought me closer to you today? What drained me tomorrow? What will I close? And what will I open? Write it down if you can. Not to control, but to recognize. In just a few weeks, you will see a map emerge, not a map of pressure, but a map of life. And you will be surprised to realize heaven has been speaking a great deal. You simply did not yet have the rhythm to hear. My beloved child, now that you have learned to pause and listen, to close what must be closed in order to keep order, to open what must be opened in order to step in the right season. I know the hardest part still lies ahead, the courage to act, discernment. If it stops at awareness, becomes suspended knowledge, it is only completed when you choose and move. Even when there is no applause, even when you are misunderstood, even when you must go against old patterns. I will not hide this from you. Choosing rightly will invite resistance, not because you are wrong, but because a new order always shakes an old order. Those who once benefited from you being constantly available, constantly carrying, constantly silent, will not rejoice when you establish boundaries. And within you, old voices will try to pull you back with familiar lines. Don't make it a big deal. It's fine, just endure a little. This is how I've always been. My child, courage is not the absence of those voices. Courage is refusing to let them drive. Distinguish courage from recklessness. Recklessness runs ahead before light arrives. Courage steps forward when there is enough light for one step. Recklessness performs. Courage is honest. Recklessness uses force. Courage uses order. When you act with courage, your body is not pushed into extreme tension. Your soul may tremble, but it will not become chaotic. Your mind may be cautious, but it will not be paralyzed. You will know you are moving rightly when you can say no without excessive explanation. When you can endure another person's silence without rushing to fill it. When you can let certain doors close without turning back out of fear. That kind of courage is not loud, it is steady. In this season, I invite you to stand in your proper place, neither lower because of shame nor higher because of pride. That place is defined by truth. You are, my child, not a hired servant. Therefore, you do not need permission to care for your body. You do not need to justify protecting your rhythm. You do not need to argue in order to keep peace. When you stand in the right place, many debates end on their own. Others may not agree, but they will sense a calm boundary, a boundary that does not push them away, yet does not allow them to enter and harm you. Jesus himself withdrew from the crowds when the time came. He did not stay to satisfy every expectation. Do not call that irresponsibility. That is faithfulness to what the Father assigned. I also want to prepare you for temporary moments of loneliness. When you change direction, you may find yourself less understood for a season. Do not panic. Loneliness is not the same as abandonment. There are quiet spaces I allow so that my voice will not be drowned out by human voices. In those spaces, you will learn to stand without needing immediate approval. And as you stand, I will bring the right people, those who do not require you to sacrifice life in order to remain. They will recognize the new order within you and honor it. Do not rush to fill the empty space with old connections simply because you fear silence. Silence is good soil for new roots. Courage is also tested in very small choices. It is not only big decisions that require bravery. Bravery appears when you turn off the screen on time, when you end a conversation that is draining you, when you cancel an appointment that no longer fits, When you ask questions before taking on more work, when you seek medical care instead of delaying, when you speak honestly to a loved one about your limits, those small choices accumulate into a steady life. Do not wait for a day of great courage. Be faithful to small courage today. Whoever is faithful in little will be entrusted with much, not as a mere reward, but because endurance has been formed. Remember this each time you act at the right time. You are retraining your inner system, teaching your body that it is safe to rest, teaching your mind that it does not need to panic, teaching your soul that it is allowed to listen. In the beginning, that system may react restlessness, guilt, doubt. Do not mistake reaction for error. It is simply old momentum withdrawing. Stay with the new order long enough for peace to become familiar. Romans 1:2 reminds you that transformation comes through the renewing of the mind. Renewal does not happen overnight, but it becomes certain when you remain steady. I give you a frame to stand firm when resistance comes. 1 truth, you speak truth. Briefly, without added drama. 2 boundaries you set, clear limits, without apologizing for life. 3 rhythm. You keep the healthy rhythms you have chosen, without changing them merely to please. 4 prayer. You bring every wavering back to me, rather than carrying it alone. When you use this frame, you do not need to win the argument. You only need to keep order. True victory is preserving life. When you act courageously at the right time, you will discover something beautiful. The fear that once felt enormous will grow smaller. The clarity you longed for will come. The endurance you lacked will increase. Not because life becomes easier, but because you have placed yourself where you belong. My beloved child, now that you have learned to hear clearly, to choose correctly, and to walk with quiet courage, I lead you into a very practical depth, reshaping your living environment, because what you live among each day will gradually shape you. I do not work only in your thoughts and decisions. I also work in the spaces you inhabit, the rhythms you breathe, the things you repeatedly touch. Do not think this is small. Many weary souls are not exhausted because they lack faith, but because they have lived too long in environments that cause them to shrink. I am not calling you to run away from life. I am calling you to adjust the context so that life has room to stand. When the soil is loosened rightly, new seeds can sprout. Begin where you are, not to be perfect, but to be honest. Look around with new eyes. Which corner tightens you? Which object evokes pressure? Is there enough light? Is the air being renewed? I do not need you to turn your home into a decorated sanctuary. I need you to turn it into a refuge. When you clear away excess, you are saying no to noise. When you let natural light in, you are allowing my day and night rhythm to touch you. When you reset your sleeping space quiet, dark, cool, you are signing a covenant with restoration. Remember, this sleep is not a reward after everything is finished. Sleep is the foundation for doing things rightly. I renew you more in the night than you realize. Next, I invite you to adjust the rhythm of your day. Rhythm is not a crowded schedule. Rhythm is an order that can breathe. Set small anchors: a morning that opens in stillness, a midday pause to breathe, an evening that closes in gratitude. Do not despise those few minutes. They are like calibrating a compass before a long journey. A compass that is slightly off can lead you astray for miles. A compass recalibrated daily keeps you on course. When you set anchors, you are telling your nervous system that you are safe, and when you are safe, you hear me more clearly. Revisit what you consume, not only food, but information, images, stories, and stimulation. Some things are not evil, yet they make you noisy. Some things are enticing, yet leave an aftertaste of emptiness. Choose like a gardener, not out of hatred, but out of protection. When you reduce what drives your mind upward and then drops it into depletion, you will be amazed at how quickly peace returns. Holiness often begins by consuming less of what numbs you. I am not calling you into austerity. I am calling you into sufficiency. My child, environment is not only material, it is also relational. I know there are people you love, and I am not telling you to turn your back on love, but I am inviting you to discern who nourishes the new order, and who makes you shrink, who encourages you to live honestly, and who pushes you to perform, who respects boundaries, and who despises them. You do not need to judge anyone. You only need to create the appropriate distance so that life is not suffocated. Healthy distance does not freeze affection. It keeps affection from becoming a burden. Some relationships need their roles rearranged, less dependence, less rescuing, less carrying what is not yours. When you return each person to their proper place, you return yourself to freedom. I also remind you of the inner environment, the stories you tell yourself. There is an old story that says you are safe only when you control, a story that says you are loved only when you are useful, a story that says resting is weakness. Those stories may have helped you survive once, but now they weary you. I do not erase them by force. I replace them with living truth. When the old story rises, do not argue with it at length. Ask, where is this story leading me? If it leads you away from me, set it down. Choose to tell the new story through small actions, sleeping enough, eating well, saying no at the right time, asking for help when needed. The new story is written by a way of living, not only by words. In this rearranging process, you may feel temporary discomfort. A new order often exposes what has not yet healed. Do not panic. Discomfort does not mean you are going the wrong way. Often it is a sign that the roots are being adjusted. Stay long enough for your body and mind to learn the new rhythm. I am not asking you to do everything at once. I am asking you to remain steady in a few essentials. Faithfulness in small right things each day is stronger than any burst of effort that flares and fades. I also want you to reset your work environment wherever you work. Ask, does the way you work honor healthy limits? Are your rest rhythms protected? Do you have the right to say no to overload, even if you cannot change everything at once? You can still change how you show up. Do one task fully. Pause along the way. Leave your desk on time. Do not bring work into bed. Do not let guilt steer your decisions. When you honor boundaries, you teach others how to honor you. And if a place does not honor your life, I will give you light to adjust step by step, in season. Reordering is not punishment, it is grace. It does not remove what is good, it restores order so that what is good can bear fruit. When you adjust your environment, you are not only protecting the present, you are preparing the future. You are making space for sustainable health, for wholesome relationships, for simple joy, for my voice to ring clearly. You are laying a foundation so that when I entrust greater work to you, you will have strength to carry it without depletion, without confusion, without drifting. Before we close this section, I will give you a very simple map to begin today. 1. Clear. 1 corner. Remove excess. Add light. 2. Set 2 anchors, morning and evening. 3. Reduce 1 source of noise screens, news, or draining conversation. 4. Protect 1 boundary sleep time, rest time, a time when you do not take on more. 5. Notice 1 fruit lighter, clearer, calmer, Do these 5 things for 7 days. Then look back. You will see that heaven has done its part faithfully. I am not only healing you, I am teaching you how to live. When the environment is adjusted, habits will follow. When habits follow, fruit will come. You will discover order does not kill freedom. Order protects freedom. And from this foundation, I will lead you forward into the place where I speak about rebuilding habits so that what is new does not merely survive, but grows over time. My beloved child, now that the environment has been adjusted so life has room to stand, I lead you into the next step, rebuilding habits. Habits are not chains. Habits are worn paths your feet walk each day. If the path leads to depletion, you will be tired even if your original intentions were good. If the path leads to life, you will be nourished even on ordinary days. I am not calling you to build a perfect system. I am calling you to choose small rhythms you can keep. What you can keep will keep you. What you promise too much will betray you. So I begin with humility, little but real, slow but enduring. Begin with a morning rhythm, not to complete a duty, but to reset your axis. You do not wake to be pulled immediately into the world's noise. You wake to remember whom you belong to. A simple anchor is enough, a few deep breaths, a short prayer. 1. Scripture to hold in your heart. Do not force yourself to feel spiritual. My presence is not measured by emotion, it is measured by abiding. When you open the day this way, you will not avoid every hardship, but you will enter hardship with the right direction, and the right direction makes the load lighter than you expect. Next is the rhythm of the body, because the body is where habits become most visible. Learn to notice early signals, tension in your shoulders, shallow breathing, false hunger, nameless fatigue. These signals are not enemies, they are messengers. When you pause early, drink water, take a few steps, stretch, breathe slowly. You correct direction before you drift far. I do not need extreme training from you, I need consistency. A few minutes each day, steadily, will build endurance. Endurance is not loud, it remains. My child, I also invite you to rebuild your eating habits not as rigid rules, but as loving care. Eat to nourish, not to numb. Prioritize what is simple, clean, and sufficient. Reduce what makes you borrow energy and pay later. Do not turn meals into another race, let them become a pause. When you eat slowly, you teach your body that it is safe. And when the body feels safe, the mind grows gentler. You will be surprised to see cravings diminish when you have enough wholesome food and enough sleep. Another habit that needs rebuilding is the rhythm of work. You were not created to remain tense for 8 or 10 hours without pause. I placed within you a natural cycle: focus, rest, return. Do one thing fully for a span of time. Then take a short pause to breathe. Do not wait until you are depleted to rest. Early rest is wisdom. The right rest is courage. When you protect small pauses, you will work more deeply, not merely more. And deeper always bears more lasting fruit. I also want you to rebuild your evening rhythm, because how you close a day shapes how you open tomorrow. Choose a simple ritual to tell your body and soul that today's battle has ended. Reduce blue light. Clear your mind with a few lines of writing. Loosen your body through slow breathing. And close with gratitude, even if the day was not perfect. Gratitude does not deny hardship. It places hardship in its proper frame. When you close the day this way, your sleep deepens, and I work within you more than you can see. My beloved child, there is a powerful habit that is often forgotten, the habit of telling yourself the truth. Not to accuse yourself, but to name what is real. When you slip, say, I slipped. When you are tired, say, I am tired. When you are afraid, say, I am afraid. Then bring it to me. Truth spoken in grace does not weaken you, it frees you. Self-punishment locks the door. Responsibility opens the path. Choose responsibility. Choose to correct, not to strike yourself. In this process, I counsel you to watch the fruit, not the feelings. Feelings come and go. Fruit remains. What is fruit? A steadier peace, deeper sleep, slower reactions, the return of small joy, fuller presence with the person in front of you. When you see fruit, you know you are walking correctly. When fruit is absent, you adjust gently, without condemnation. Habits are rebuilt through continuous small adjustments, not through a short-lived burst. Set boundaries around unhealthy habits, not through war, but through replacement. Do not only say no, say yes to something healthier. If you are used to scrolling when you are tired, replace it with a short walk or a warm shower. If you are used to staying up late because of worry, replace it by writing down what you need to carry into tomorrow and then setting it down. If you are used to eating to soothe yourself, replace it with deep breathing and a light, timely meal. Gentle replacement will win where hard confrontation fails. I remind you of the rhythm of community. Healthy habits grow faster when someone walks with you. You do not need to tell everything to many people. You only need one or two safe people with whom you can speak truthfully and be reminded of order. When you share your process, not boasting about progress, not hiding your slips, you are kept in the light. Light makes habits lasting. And when you are weak, the community reminds you of what you have chosen. In all of this, keep kindness toward yourself. Kindness is not indulgence. Kindness is patience with the process. There are days you do well, and days you slip. Both belong to learning. Do not use one day of slipping to erase the faithfulness of many days. I do not do that. I watch the trajectory, not only the moment of falling. And your trajectory is changing. I will give you a framework of 4 habits to keep for 30 days. 1. Open the day with a brief stillness. 2. Care for your body with water, breathing, and gentle movement each day. 3. Work in rhythm, focus, rest, return. 4. Close the day with gratitude and low light. You do not need more. You only need to keep them. 30 days is enough for the body to learn a new rhythm, enough for the mind to soften, enough for the soul to hear more clearly. I do not only want you to have good habits, I want you to live within an ecosystem of life where the environment supports you, habits nourish you, and fruit comes naturally. When habits are rebuilt, what is new does not merely survive, it grows. And from this foundation, I will lead you to the next step, rearranging relationships so the new order is protected between you and others. My beloved child, when the environment has been adjusted and habits have begun to bring life, I bring you to a very sensitive place, relationships. For you do not live alone. The people close to you, the conversations you repeat, the expectations you carry on behalf of others, these all leave a mark on your heartbeat and the way you breathe. I have not come to separate you from people. I have come to reposition relationships so that love does not become a burden and closeness does not drain you. Some relationships need healing, some relationships need boundaries reset, and some relationships, though not evil, have completed their role in this season. Wisdom is not in keeping everything. but in keeping what is right. First, I want you to discern the motivation within relationships. Ask yourself not to accuse yourself, but to understand from where do you come toward this person, love or fear. Do you remain because there is life? Or because of habit? Do you say yes out of freedom or out of guilt? These questions are not meant to judge anyone. They are meant to help you recognize your position. When you stand in the right position, relationships begin to find order again. When you stand in the wrong position, always rescuing, always carrying, always soothing, you will grow weary, even if the other person never intended to drain you. I am not calling you to withdraw from love. I am calling you to love in the right way. Some relationships need healing through truth. Truth is not listing faults. Truth is naming what is happening. Speak plainly, briefly. Without drama, you are overloaded. You need a different rhythm. You cannot continue in the old way. You do not need to persuade everyone to understand. You only need to be honest. Honesty may tense the air for a moment, but it opens the door to lasting respect. And if your truth is continually dismissed, you already have your answer regarding where boundaries must be set. Boundaries are not high walls meant to push others away. Boundaries are safe frames that allow love to remain without harm. Boundaries say, you may come this close. And they also say, you may not go farther. When you set boundaries, you do not make others weaker. You help them see clearly. Some will resist your boundaries not because the boundaries are wrong, but because they have grown accustomed to crossing them. Do not panic. Resistance does not mean you are going the wrong way. Hold your boundaries with calm, without apologizing for life, without over-explaining. Time will reveal the fruit. I also invite you to revisit relationships built on unhealthy exchange. Some connections exist because you always give and receive very little. Some connections live on drama. Some connections require you to perform in order to be accepted. You do not need to condemn the past. The past has done its work. But now you no longer have to pay that price. If a relationship can only exist when you sacrifice your life, then it is not the fellowship I desire for you. True fellowship allows both to grow, not only one to endure. My child, I am preparing you for a shift of roles. Some who once walked ahead of you now need to stand beside you. Some who once leaned on you now need to learn to stand. Some who once stayed very close now need to step back so they do not block the light you are receiving. Role shifts can feel awkward, but they are signs of maturity. Do this with respect, not with anger. When you change roles rightly, you keep your heart soft, and a soft heart is where I heal most quickly. Do not forget your relationship with yourself, the foundational relationship. If you continue speaking to yourself in a harsh voice, you will carry that voice into every connection. Learn to speak to yourself with truth wrapped in grace. You are learning, you are adjusting, you are allowed to be tired, you are allowed to ask for help. When you treat yourself kindly, you set a new standard for how others treat you. And I am there, standing with truth healed by grace, not with condemnation. In this season of repositioning, I will bring the right people not to replace me, but to walk with you in the new order. They may not be impressive, they will be safe, near them. You do not need to perform, you can be yourself. Receive them with openness, but do not cling. People are gifts, I am the source. When you remember this, you will love without dependency, bond without losing yourself. I also remind you of healthy goodbyes. Not every ending is a failure. Some endings are the full stop at the end of a sentence that has been completed. You do not need to burn bridges. You can close a door with gratitude. When you close well, you carry what you learned without carrying a burden. And when you do not carry the burden, you have room for what is new. In all of this, keep your communication slow. You do not have to reply to every message immediately. You do not have to react instantly to every emotion. You do not have to resolve every misunderstanding at once. Slowness protects truth. When you slow down, you hear more clearly me, others, and yourself, and you will speak less, but more accurately. A right word heals faster than many words. I give you a relational compass to carry one. Life does this relationship nourish or drain too. Truth, can you speak honestly without fear? 3. Boundaries, are they respected? 4. Fruit, after being with them. Are you closer to me or farther away? You do not need every answer to be yes immediately. You only need honesty in order to adjust. I am not cutting you off from people. I am arranging people around you so life is protected. When your environment is adjusted, your habits are nurtured, and your relationships are reset. The new order is no longer fragile. It stands. And from that steady foundation, I will lead you into part 4, where I speak of deep healing and inner cleansing, so that what has been hidden beneath the surface can be uprooted and renewed. My beloved child, after I have rearranged the environment around you, shaped your familiar rhythms, and restored order in your relationships, I lead you into an even deeper place, inner healing. This is where many people want to skip ahead, not because they are bad, but because they are tired. They hope that changing circumstances, schedules, or the people around them will be enough. But my child, if the deeper layers of the heart are not touched, what remains unhealed will soon find a way to rise again, not to punish you, but because it longs to be seen and treated. I do not bring you here to expose you to harsh eyes. I bring you here to wash you in gentle light, where there is no condemnation, only truth and grace. Hear me clearly. Healing does not begin by digging up the past simply to hurt again, but by allowing the present to become safe. When you are safe, memory can come out without shattering you. And that safety does not come from controlling better, it comes from knowing you are being held. So the first thing I do in this part is teach you to remain with your feelings. Remain with truth. Remain with me rather than run. You have learned to run very well into busyness, into analysis, into helping others, into appearing fine on the surface. Those runs once kept you from collapsing, but now they keep you on the surface. I do not blame you for running. I simply invite you to stop so you can be healed. In that pausing, you may begin to sense unfamiliar things, a nameless sadness, an old anger, a low burning fear, a deep weariness not attached to any specific event. Do not panic. This is not a sign that you are going the wrong way. It is a sign that what has been pressed down for a long time is finally being given room to breathe. I am not forcing you to face everything at once. I bring it up layer by layer, gently, slowly, only as much as you can carry without being overwhelmed. When you feel an emotion rise, do one very simple thing: name it, breathe with it, and bring it to me. Father, I am sad. Father, I am angry. Father, I am afraid. These words are not weakness, they are honesty. And honesty opens the door to healing. My beloved child, there are old wounds that have shaped the way you see the world without you even realizing it. It may be the feeling of not being chosen, having to strive to be worthy. If I don't carry it, everything will fall apart. Or if I soften, I will be hurt. Those beliefs did not appear out of nowhere. They were formed when you were trying to survive in difficult settings. I do not blame you for learning them. I am only telling you they are no longer the present truth of your life. The new truth is this: you are loved before you do. You are held even when you rest. You are protected even when you do not control. As you allow me to replace old beliefs with living truth, you will see your reactions change, not because you are forcing yourself, but because the root has changed. I also want to touch shame, a very subtle force. Shame whispers that you are the problem, that something is wrong with you. It makes you hide, avoid, and strike yourself inwardly. But I tell you, shame does not come from me. My voice names behavior so it can be repaired. Shame labels identity so it can lock the door. When you slip, I say, get up. When shame speaks, it says, you are a failure. Learn to recognize this difference. Each time you choose responsibility instead of self-punishment, you withdraw strength from shame and make room for grace. And where grace is, healing moves faster. My child, deep healing also touches forgiveness, but not in a rushed or imposed way. Forgiveness is not denying what hurt you. Forgiveness is deciding that pain will not continue to control you. Some forgiveness happens quickly, some forgiveness takes time. I do not pressure you to forgive just to be done. I lead you to forgive so you can be free. Begin by acknowledging the wound before me. Speak honestly about the loss. Set boundaries for safety. Then, step by step, when you are ready, release the right to retaliate. You are not doing this alone. I am with you in every step, and I do not accelerate the process simply so you will appear fine. On this journey, I also cleanse the ways you have treated your body. Some tensions have lived in you for too long, leaving marks in your muscles and your breath. When you finally allow rest, your body may tremble, may feel uncomfortable. This is a sign it is releasing. Do not rush to conclusions. Continue in the healthy rhythms you have chosen: enough sleep, clean food, deep breathing, gentle movement, and seeking support when needed. Healing does not happen only in your thoughts. It happens in your cells when you allow the new order to remain long enough. There is something very important I want you to remember. Healing does not take away your strength. It returns strength to its rightful place. You will not become more fragile because you are honest. You will become steadier because you no longer have to brace yourself. You will not become weaker because you cry. You will become lighter because you no longer have to compress everything. You will not lose control because you surrender. You will be led more faithfully because you are no longer alone. I give you a safe practice for the coming days each day. Spend a few minutes in stillness. Place your hand on your chest or abdomen. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out longer. And ask, today, what within me needs to be seen? You do not need a great answer, only a small sense. Bring that sense to me with a brief sentence. That is enough. Deep healing does not require many words. It requires steady presence. My beloved child, what remains hidden is not your enemy. It is a part of you waiting for light. I am not afraid of the darkness within you. I am the light that enters it. And when light enters, it does not shame you. It makes you whole. From this foundation, I will continue to lead you into the place where I speak about cleansing old patterns and protecting what is new, so that healing does not only happen, but is preserved. When light has begun to touch the deeper layers of your heart, I do not leave you in a fragile openness. I lead you into the next step, cleansing old patterns not to erase who you are, but to protect what is being formed. Healing that is not guarded will soon be eroded by familiar grooves. Therefore, I do not only heal, I train. I teach you to recognize old cycles before they re-establish themselves. And I teach you to build gentle but steady gates of protection around your life. Understand this: old patterns do not always look ugly. Many patterns were survival strategies. They helped you stand in hard seasons. They kept you from breaking when you had no place to lean. But what once rescued you does not have to follow you forever. When you carry survival strategies into a season of peace, they become burdens. So I do not condemn your past. I only tell you that the season has changed. And when the season changes, seed needs new soil, new water, new light. One very common pattern I want you to recognize is quick reaction. You have learned to react in order to avoid trouble, replying immediately, agreeing immediately, explaining immediately, fixing immediately. Quick reaction once helped you maintain surface order, but it steals discernment. I am teaching you a new reflex: pause before you answer. Pausing is not avoidance. Pausing is letting light in. When you pause, you ask, does this require an immediate response? Does this belong to me? Am I responding from peace or from pressure? Those few seconds are enough to break an old loop. And every time you pause successfully, you are rewriting your nervous system, teaching it that safety does not come from speed, but from order. Another pattern that needs cleansing is self-blame. Self-blame often disguises itself as responsibility, but it bears no good fruit. Responsibility opens the way to repair. Self-blame locks the door through shame. When you slip, the old pattern will pull you into a spiral, condemning yourself, comparing yourself, despairing. I invite you into a different way. Name the truth. Correct what needs correcting. Then remain in grace. Grace does not make you careless. Grace gives you strength to rise without carrying a burden. Each time you refuse self-blame and choose healthy responsibility, you are stripping shame of authority and protecting what is new. I also want you to notice the pattern of overload, the habit of filling your schedule as a way to avoid facing what is within. When the calendar is empty, your heart may feel noisy. When the calendar is full, you feel fine. But my child, full does not mean safe. Safety comes from my presence, not from busyness. I invite you to keep intentional spaces, spaces where you can hear, where you can feel, where you can rest. Empty space will not swallow you, it will nourish you. And as you hold that space long enough, you will see the fears that once drove you to run slowly lose their power. My beloved child, the words you speak to yourself each day weave the atmosphere in which you live. If that language is harsh, the atmosphere becomes heavy. If that language is truthful and compassionate, the atmosphere becomes light. I am not asking you to repeat empty slogans. I am inviting you to speak truth, wrapped in grace. I am learning. I am not there yet, but I am on the way. I am allowed to rest. I do not have to carry this alone. Let these phrases become quiet prayers within you. New language protects what is new. As you cleanse old patterns, I am also teaching you to build protective fences. A fence is not a high wall. A fence is a set of small practices repeated consistently. Your fences may look like a fixed bedtime, a day when you do not take on more work, a moment of stillness each morning, evenings with less screen light, or a safe person with whom you can speak honestly. These fences do not shrink your life, they strengthen it. When storms come, fences keep the soil from washing away. I also want you to be prepared for moments of testing, not so you become afraid, but so you stay awake. When you change direction, old momentum will try to pull you back with familiar invitations. One more task, just this once. staying up late just tonight, skipping rest because it's urgent. Do not argue at length. Simply return to the order you have chosen. Every time you return, you reinforce what is new. Do not wait until you feel ready to keep order. Keep order so that you become ready. I also remind you about cleansing triggered memories, memories that cause your body to react strongly even when the present is safe. When a memory is triggered, your heart may race, your breath may shorten, your mind may blur. Do not blame yourself. Return to your body, place your feet on the ground. Slow your breathing. Look around to orient yourself to the present. Then say, Father, I am here, and I am safe. These practices teach memory that the past has passed. Gradually, the intensity lessens, and what is new is protected. In the process of protecting what is new, you will learn patience. Patience is not passive waiting. Patience is faithfulness to what is right, even when fruit is not yet visible. Some days you will see progress. Some days you will feel slow. Do not measure your journey by momentary emotion. Measure it by return. Do you return more quickly? Do you condemn yourself less? Do you keep rhythm more steadily? These signs show that what is new is taking root. I give you a daily protective filter to use. When an invitation comes, ask, does this respect my new rhythm? When a thought arises, ask, where is this leading me? When you slip, ask, what is the smallest corrective step I can take right now? You do not need perfect answers. You only need honest ones. Truth keeps you safe. Child, what I am doing to you is not as fragile as you think. What is new is protected by small choices repeated in the light. When old patterns are cleansed and fences are built, healing is no longer just an experience, it becomes a way of life. My beloved child, when old patterns have been identified and protective fences have been built, I do not leave you living in a state of exhausting vigilance. My purpose is not for you to spend your days guarding yourself, but for you to remain in freedom, a freedom that is not loud or tense, but steady and deep. This is where healing is strengthened, not by tightening your grip, but by remaining. You do not need to do more to preserve what is new. You need to learn not to step away from what I have established. Understand this clearly. True freedom is not the absence of limits. True freedom is living well within healthy limits. When you honor limits, you are not confined, you are protected so that you can grow. I do not lead you out of the house to wander aimlessly. I bring you into a home with a firm foundation, where you know you belong. And when you know you belong, you no longer have to chase proof that you are worthy. You do not need to prove healing by always being fine. Lasting healing is recognized through stability, through quicker returns, gentler reactions, and the ability not to be swept too far when things shift. In this season, I teach you an important art, remaining with what is good without sabotaging it. Many people are so accustomed to tension that when peace arrives, they unconsciously create drama to feel normal again. Do not be surprised if you sometimes feel restless in calm. This is not a sign you are off course. It is a sign that the old system is searching for familiar stimulation. I invite you to do the opposite when peace comes. Stay. Breathe. Let peace do its work. You do not need to fill the space. Peace does not need decoration. It needs time. Strengthening also happens through new memories. Each time you move through a difficult situation, using the new order, saying no at the right moment, resting before exhaustion, speaking truth without exploding, you are creating a safe memory. These memories stack upon one another, and over time, your nervous system learns I can be here without fear. When safe memories are plentiful, Old memories lose their power. I do not erase old memories. I remove their dominion. Learn to remain in the light without overexposure. Remaining in the light does not mean telling everything to everyone. It means not living a double life. You choose a few safe relationships where you can speak honestly. Elsewhere, you keep peaceful boundaries. When you live consistently inside and out, you no longer spend energy hiding. Consistency is a close companion of freedom. There is a subtle challenge in this phase: spiritual complacency. When you begin to feel better, you may loosen the practices that held you. You may say, "I'm fine now." I do not rebuke you. I simply remind you that what keeps you well is rhythm. Rhythm is not heavy discipline. Rhythm is the heartbeat of a relationship. You do not stop talking to someone you love just because the relationship is going well. You continue to speak, to listen, to remain. In the same way, you keep the small rhythms: opening the day, closing the day, resting well, speaking truth not out of fear of loss, but out of love for what is growing. I also teach you to receive small failures without collapsing. There will be moments when you slip, not because you are returning to the old, but because you are learning. Do not use one stumble to erase an entire journey. Correct quickly, gently, and return. The speed of return matters more than never slipping. Each quick return strengthens freedom. Freedom does not demand perfection. It asks for honesty and coming back. You will recognize the signs of steadiness. You no longer react extremely. You can wait. You can tolerate silence. You can stay with emotion without being swept away. You can experience joy without fearing tomorrow's collapse. When these signs appear, do not be afraid that you are losing your fire. You are not losing fire. You are gaining embers, the kind of heat that lasts through the night. Embers do not flare loudly. They warm steadily. I will remind you of gentle obedience. Obedience is not forcing yourself to do right. Obedience is agreeing to remain in what is right. When you hear a small adjustment, rest more. Speak less. Change order. You respond in trust, not in lengthy debate. These small adjustments spare you from painful major ones. I do not corner you. I lead you with steps that fit your stride. I will show you clear fruit, increased endurance, sharper clarity, healthier relationships, better bodily responses. When you see fruit, offer thanks. Gratitude is not courtesy. Gratitude anchors good into the present. What is thanked for remains longer. I am not only bringing you out of the old, I am establishing you firmly in the new. Healing has taken place, cleansing has been done, strengthening is doing its work. You do not need to revisit the wound every day. You need to live. And when you live in the rhythm I give, freedom is no longer something you must hold tightly. Freedom holds you. My beloved child, remaining in freedom is not an emotional state. It is an inner position. Emotions rise and fall. Some days feel light. Some days feel heavy, but position is where you stand. The axis upon which you set your life. When you stand in freedom, you are no longer pulled by every small fluctuation. You no longer wake each morning asking whether you are healed yet. You no longer examine yourself with suspicious eyes. You know you are in a process, and that process is held by me, not by your perfection. Your peace no longer depends on whether everything is calm, but on whether you are standing in the right place. Many people are afraid to remain in freedom because they mistakenly believe that if they loosen their vigilance, everything will collapse. They have lived in defense mode for so long that they treat tension as proof of responsibility. But my child, prolonged tension does not protect you. It only makes you gradually blind to what truly deserves your attention. Freedom does not make you careless. Freedom makes you alert without shrinking. When you live in freedom, you can still recognize risk, but you are no longer ruled by it. You can still see limits, but you do not interpret limits as failure. You still correct what is wrong, but you no longer confuse mistakes with identity. This is the maturity into which I am leading you. In this season of strengthening, I am teaching you not to return and inspect what has been healed through the eyes of the past. There will be moments when you ask, "Will this come back? Will I slip again, my child?" Those questions rise from old fear, not from new wisdom. Wisdom asks, "If I slip, how will I return?" And my answer is very simple: you already have a way back. You are no longer lost in darkness. You know what to do when you lose rhythm. Knowing the way back matters more than never stumbling. When you are no longer afraid of stumbling, you walk more lightly, and you walk more steadily. True steadiness is not showy. You will not always feel strong, but you will notice that you are less easily tossed around. What once provoked intense reactions now simply makes you pause. Words that once hit an open wound now touch only your understanding. Situations that once stole your sleep now make you think, and then you set them down. This is not because you have become numb, it is because the wound is no longer open. You do not have to prove this to anyone. Its fruit will speak for itself. Learn to remain with joy without suspicion. Some people, when joy returns, immediately begin to worry. How long until this disappears? They are so used to waiting for something bad that they do not allow themselves to rest within what is good. I tell you, you do not need to prepare yourself for pain by refusing joy. Joy does not make you weak. Joy nourishes endurance. When you allow yourself to enjoy the present, you are declaring that you trust me enough not to live in constant defense. Joy is a very deep act of faith. I am also adjusting how you view time. You no longer need to rush to reach the next stage in order to prove you have moved on. You do not need to accelerate the process just to convince yourself you are progressing. Time in my hands is not your enemy. It is an ally of healing. When you allow time to do its work, what is false will fall away, and what is true will remain. You do not need to control the speed. You only need to keep the direction. Remaining in freedom means allowing yourself to be ordinary. Not every day is a day of revelation. Not every week is a week of breakthrough. Some days are very simple: eating, working, resting, talking, sleeping. Do not despise those days. Ordinary life, lived in the right rhythm, is where freedom takes its deepest roots. People who cannot remain in freedom often run from one high point to the next because they fear silence will expose something. But my child, when you have been healed, silence is no longer a threat, it is a friend. I am also teaching you not to equate freedom with needing no one. Freedom is not absolute independence. Freedom is the right connection. You still need community. You still need someone to listen. You still need reminders, but you no longer cling for validation. You no longer need others to hold order for you. You come to others from a growing fullness, not from an emptiness demanding to be filled. This is mature freedom. In this season, you may notice something clearly. What does not belong to you will fall away without struggle. You no longer have to cut things off through inner violence. When you remain in order, what does not fit will discover it has no place. You do not need long explanations. You do not need constant self-defense. Your steadiness itself becomes the answer. You are no longer in an emergency room. You are in sustained recovery. Here there are no sirens, no frantic rushing, no drama. Here there is steady light, deep breathing, and firm steps. You no longer need to look at the wound every day to make sure it has healed. You need to live as someone whose order has been restored. I did not lead you through these 4 parts so you would become preoccupied with your inner world. I led you through them so you could return outward to life with a stable axis. What has been healed does not need to be endlessly analyzed. It needs to be trusted and carried forward. You do not lose humility by walking steadily. You honor me when you trust that what I have done is sufficient. From here, I will not speak as much about healing anymore. I will begin to speak of a new season, new responsibilities, and how to walk forward without carrying old burdens again. My beloved child, when I call you into a new season, I do not call you to abandon the foundation that has been built. I call you to carry that foundation with you. A new season does not begin with doing more. It begins with moving differently, moving with a restored axis, with a learned rhythm, with strengthened freedom. If you step into what is new with old habits, the new will soon take the shape of the old. So before I expand your space, I deepen your preparation not loudly, not hurriedly, but with certainty. Do not forget, preparation is not passive, waiting. And it is not tense, striving to prove readiness. Preparation is faithful, living with what I have placed in your hands today. You do not need to see the whole picture in order to step. You need to take the right step. When you keep your rhythms of sleep, rest, truth-telling, and boundaries, you are preparing for the new season in the best way. Those things that seem small are the pillars that hold the roof when I widen the house of your life. I will entrust you with responsibilities of a different weight, not more, but truer. There are tasks you once did through bracing and strain. Now I invite you to do them through presence. There are places where you once ran to meet demands. Now I invite you to stand and lead. The difference is subtle, but decisive. When you do things through strain, you burn out quickly. When you do them through presence, you endure. Presence does not come from skill. Presence comes from inner order. And that order you have learned. A new season also brings open doors. But not every open door is meant for you. I remind you of what you have learned. Do not ask first. Is this good? Ask. Will this keep me in order? The new season is not a season to try everything. It is a season of selection. You will see many invitations that look promising. You do not need to fear missing out. What is yours does not slip through your fingers when you walk slowly. It remains when you walk rightly. I do not lead you by panic. I lead you by light sufficient for one step. In this preparation, I teach you to read the signs of readiness. Readiness does not always come with great confidence. Often it comes with quiet peace. You no longer need to prove yourself. You only need to obey. When you think about what I am opening and your heart does not shrink, though you still tremble, that is a good sign. Trembling does not mean not ready. It only means you are stepping into new territory. Peace, underneath the trembling, is a sign that you are walking in the right way. Prepare for an increased pace without losing your axis. A new season may be busier, but busy must not replace abiding. Guard your anchors as if they were life itself. Open the day in stillness. Close the day in gratitude. Rest before you are depleted. Say no when your rhythm is invaded. You do not have to protect everything. You have to protect rhythm. When rhythm is protected, even many tasks cannot swallow you. I also warn you about a subtle trap of the new season comparison. As you step into what I open, you may look sideways and measure yourself by another person's progress. Comparison will pull you out of presence and place you into judgment. Do not do that. Your path has its own rhythm, its own weight, its own grace. When you compare, you drop the present where I speak most clearly. Return to what is in front of you and do it wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedness bears fruit in season. The new season also requires a different use of your voice. I am not telling you to speak more. I am telling you that you will speak more accurately. There will be times you need to speak to set boundaries. There will be times you need silence to protect true peace. There will be times you need to ask in order to learn. There will be times you need to say not yet to guard what is forming. Do not fear silence. Silence at the right time preserves the power of words. Few words that are true will open the way. Many words that are misaligned will create confusion. In this preparation, I also invite you to simplify your motivation. You are not stepping into the new season to prove that you have overcome. You are stepping in because I am leading you. You do not need complicated motives to endure. You need one motive that is deep enough obedience within freedom. When your motive is simple, you are no longer pulled by praise or criticism. You do what is right even when no one sees. And you stop what is wrong even when it offers short-term gain. A simple motive keeps you safe through long days. I also prepare you for mid-course adjustments. A new season is not a straight line, it has turns. When I adjust you, do not interpret it as failure. Adjustment is evidence that I am walking with you. Keep your heart soft so you can receive small corrections early. Small corrections spare you from large and painful ones. The wise love correction, the proud resist it. I know you are learning wisdom. I give you 3 preparatory questions to carry with you each day of the new season. What is the right step today? Which rhythm must be protected today? What do I need to say no to in order to say yes to what matters most? You do not need long answers. Honest answers are enough. You have been prepared not because you are perfect, but because you have learned to remain. Not because you are strong, but because you know how to lean. The new season will not consume you. The new season will receive you if you enter it, carrying the order that has been built. My beloved child, as you step into the new season, I do not let you go without forewarning you of the challenges that will come with it. Not to make you afraid, but to help you stand firm. A new season is not a land without wind. It is a land with different currents. The challenges here are not as loud as before. They are subtler, closer, and often dressed in reasonableness. If you are not attentive, you may return to old patterns right in the middle of what is new, not because you are weak, but because you are familiar with them. That is why I tell you from the beginning the challenges of the new season are not meant to pull you down. They are meant to teach you how to remain. The first challenge is speed. When doors open, you may be swept into a faster pace, more invitations, more tasks, more expectations. Speed itself is not evil. What is dangerous is speed that outruns rhythm. Remember, this rhythm saves you from collapse. Do not trade rhythm to keep up. I do not measure your effectiveness by quantity. I measure it by faithfulness. When you notice yourself sacrificing sleep, rest, and presence just to keep up, that is your cue to pause. Pausing does not set you back. Pausing keeps you aligned. And when you are aligned, you go farther. The second challenge is praise. When you walk rightly, praise will come, and praise is a double-edged blade. It can encourage, it can also lure you into living for image. Do not let images replace order. I do not oppose the joy of being affirmed. I warn against dependence on affirmation. When you begin adjusting decisions to preserve a good reputation, you have stepped out of freedom. Receive praise with gratitude, then lay it down. What sustains you is not human approval. What sustains you is the light I give for the next step. My beloved child, the third challenge is the pressure of you're past that now. You may hear a whisper, You're fine now, you don't need those rhythms anymore. This is a subtle trap. What keeps you well is rhythm. Rhythm is not a temporary flotation device. Rhythm is a foundation. You do not remove a foundation because the house is standing. You reinforce the foundation so the house can expand. Therefore, keep the practices that rescued you, not out of fear, but out of love. When you love what you have, you protect it. The fourth challenge is new conflict. When you change order, friction is unavoidable, not because you are disruptive, but because new boundaries require adjustment. Some people will understand, others will not. Do not return to the habit of smoothing things over by sacrificing truth. Speak truth briefly, calmly, and remain within your boundary. I do not need you to win arguments. I need you to preserve life. When you preserve life, I will take care of the rest, my child. The fifth challenge is healthy fatigue. A new season may be tiring because you are learning something new, carrying new responsibility, standing in a new position. Do not confuse healthy fatigue with destructive exhaustion. Healthy fatigue comes and goes. Destructive exhaustion lingers and makes you shrink. When you are healthily tired, you rest and recover. When you are destructively exhausted, you need adjustment. Listen to your body. It is your ally. I am not inviting you to endure. I am inviting you to adjust early. Through all these challenges, I teach you a crucial skill: returning quickly, not never slipping, but slipping less, not never wandering, but knowing the way back. Your way back is very practical. Pause, breathe, name, re-choose, rhythm. When you return quickly, challenges lose their power. When you remain in self-condemnation, challenges grow. I do not stand with self-condemnation. I stand with healthy responsibility. In the new season, you will see others moving quickly in different ways. Do not measure yourself by their ruler. Comparison pulls you out of presence where I speak most clearly. Your path has its own rhythm because your load is different. When you stay with what is before you and do it wholeheartedly, you do not miss what is yours. What is yours does not require chasing. It remains when you walk rightly. I teach you to use fruit as your standard. When you hesitate before a decision, ask, what is the fruit of this in 1 month? 3 months? 1 year? Does it nourish or drain? Does it draw you closer to me or farther away? Fruit does not lie. A good tree does not bear harmful fruit. If the fruit is lasting peace, increasing clarity, growing endurance, you are walking rightly. If the fruit is confusion, constriction, exhaustion, adjust without condemnation. Prepare for invitations that say, just this once, skip rest, just this once stay up late, just this once take on more. Repeating just this once recreates old cycles. You do not need long debates. Return to the principle, protect rhythm to preserve the season. A small no today saves you from a large no tomorrow. I want you to learn to stand steady in silence. There will be moments when you do not receive immediate affirmation, times when your good work is unseen. Do not rush to fill silence with extra effort. Silence at the right time is where I work deeply. When you can endure silence without breaking it, you mature. This maturity is not loud, it lasts. I give you a stabilizing framework for the new season: rhythm, protect sleep, rest, and abiding. Boundaries, speak truth briefly, without apologizing for life. Fruit, measured by lasting outcomes, not short-lived excitement. Return, correct quickly, gently, and continue. Gratitude, name the good so it stays anchored. If you hold this framework, you will stand firm. Remember this, the challenges of the new season are not meant to prove that you are still weak. They are meant to confirm that you have changed. Each time you choose rhythm over rush, truth over appeasement, return over self-condemnation, you are carving the new path deeper. And a deeply carved path will carry you far without costing you yourself. I am not calling you into the new season to drag old patterns along. I am calling you to live differently, not more tense, but more grounded, not louder, but clearer, not more strained, but freer. I am with you in every challenge, not leaving you to manage alone. And as you remain in what is right, the new season will bear fruit without needing haste. My beloved child, when you have passed through the first challenges of the new season, I lead you to a pivotal place for bearing lasting fruit while keeping your heart humble amid what is growing. Not everything that sprouts remains, and not everything that remains bears fruit for long. Lasting fruit does not come from momentary explosion. Lasting fruit comes from deep abiding. I am not seeking noisy harvests that fade quickly. I am seeking quiet harvests that feed many over a long time. Hear this clearly. Fruitfulness is not the result of forced effort, but the natural outcome of a life rooted rightly. When the root is kept moist, the trunk supported, and light given in proper measure, fruit forms without strain. Many grow weary trying to produce fruit to prove they are on the right path. But my child, a healthy tree does not worry about bearing fruit. A healthy tree tends its roots. Your root is a living relationship with me, a rhythm of life that has been restored, and faithfulness in small things that no one applauds. When you tend the root, fruit arrives in its season. In this season, I will show you the first signs of fruit, not always large achievements, but durable inner changes, increased patience, softened reactions, deeper listening, clearer discernment of what matters, and joy that does not depend on big reasons. Do not dismiss these signs. They are evidence that life is flowing in the right direction. When you acknowledge them with gratitude, you anchor fruit so it remains. Child, as fruit grows, I also teach you to keep humility not by diminishing yourself, but by standing in the right place. Humility does not say, I am nothing. Humility says, I know my source. Your source is not your ability, nor recognition. Your source is me. When you remember your source, you are not intoxicated by praise, nor shattered by criticism. You receive praise like sunlight to help the tree grow, then you return the glory to the source. How you handle praise and criticism will determine whether fruit endures. Lasting fruit always comes with lasting responsibility. When fruit appears, people will lean on it. There will be work that needs tending. This responsibility does not come to crush you. It comes to shape you. You do not need to carry it alone. Keep a rhythm of collaboration. Know how to ask for help. Know how to share the load. Know how to say, not yet when needed. When you carry responsibility within rhythm, fruit does not drain you. Fruit deepens you. One great trap in the season of fruitfulness is identifying yourself with results. When things go well, you may unconsciously think, this is who I am. But, my child, you are not the fruit. You are the branch being nourished. When you identify yourself with outcomes, you begin to fear loss and move toward control. Control suffocates life. I invite you to keep a healthy distance from results. Do your part fully. Then place the outcome in my hands. What you entrust will be kept more securely than what you try to hold tightly. Simplicity must be guarded as fruit grows. Simplicity is not poverty. Simplicity is freedom from distraction. When there are many opportunities, choose fewer but deeper ones. When there are many voices, keep fewer but clearer ones. When there are many paths, choose the one that preserves rhythm. Simplicity protects fruit from being divided. One well-tended fruit is worth far more than many unripe fruits picked too early. There will be days when no one sees what you are doing, and efforts that go unrecognized. Do not despise those days. What is hidden builds endurance for what will later be seen. When you are faithful in small things without needing the spotlight, you lay a foundation for greater things without becoming proud. I see what is hidden, and I know how to bring what is right into the light at the proper time. I also remind you of the discipline of gratitude. Gratitude is not merely a feeling. It is a practice that keeps your eyes on what is good without denying what is hard. When you give thanks, you are not saying everything is perfect. You are declaring that life is at work. Gratitude softens your heart toward me and toward others. A soft heart is good soil for lasting fruit. In the season of fruitfulness, you will learn to share fruit wisely. Not everyone needs to taste it, and not every moment is the right time to give it away. Share with those entrusted to you, in places that are open, led by guidance rather than pressure. Sharing at the right time multiplies fruit. Sharing too early causes fruit to fall. I will show you when to give and when to keep. You do not need to fear selfishness when you are protecting a season. Keep a posture of learning. Bearing fruit does not mean you have arrived. When you remain teachable, you open the door to subtle adjustments, adjustments that protect fruit from disease. The wise love correction because they love lasting fruit more than their ego. Ask, listen, and adjust gently, without defensiveness. A learning heart keeps you young in spirit. There will be moments when I prune even in a season of fruitfulness. Pruning is not a sign of displeasure, it is a sign of my care for longevity. When I prune, you may experience small losses, a missed opportunity, a habit, a secondary direction. Do not panic. Timely pruning makes fruit sweeter and more abundant later. Trust my hand. I prune with love, not impatience. I give you a compass for bearing lasting fruit. To use each day. Is your root being watered today? Is your rhythm being kept today? Who is being nourished by your fruit today? Is your heart soft toward me today? These questions are not for harsh self-judgment. They are to keep you rightly positioned. I am not only leading you into a new season, I am teaching you how to remain there so fruit may endure. When you tend the root, keep rhythm, live simply, and stay humble. Fruit will come in its proper time and remain long enough to nourish many. You do not need to hurry. You need to be faithful. Faithfulness today is the seed of tomorrow's harvest. My beloved child, I am not opening something completely unfamiliar. I am closing a cycle so you can stand firmly in a new identity without being pulled back into old grooves. Endings are not always loud. Many sacred endings happen quietly. When you realize that certain things no longer hold power over you, you no longer have to fight them or prove that you have overcome. They are simply no longer central. This is a true sign of maturity. Completing a cycle does not mean forgetting everything that came before. You do not erase your life's history. You place it in its proper position. What happened in the past taught you, shaped you, and helped you survive difficult seasons. But, my child, you were not meant to live forever in survival mode. What helped you stand in the storm does not need to follow you when the skies have cleared. When old mechanisms are carried into new life, they distort what I am building. That is why I call you to a deep act, saying a healthy goodbye to ways that have completed their assignment. In this process, you may feel a vague sadness, not because you want to go back, but because you are leaving behind a familiar version of yourself. I tell you, this sadness is not wrong. It is a sign that you have truly passed through something, not merely understood it intellectually. Allow yourself to grieve without concluding that you are weak. Grief does not pull you backward. Avoiding grief does. When you let emotion pass through under my light, it does not take root, it flows through. Standing firm in a new identity is not about repeating affirmations. It is about living consistently with the truth I have placed within you. Your new identity is not defined by the absence of fear, but by the fact that fear no longer steers you. It is not defined by never stumbling, but by knowing who you are when you rise again. You no longer ask, "Am I worthy?" You begin to ask, "What is the next faithful step?" When the question changes, life changes. In this new identity, you no longer have to prove your value through endurance. Some have learned to be acknowledged by carrying more, suffering longer, remaining silent longer. But, my child, your value does not increase because you endure pain well. Your value is affirmed because you are my child. When you stop using suffering as a measuring stick, you begin to live by wisdom. Wisdom chooses what is good even when no one forces it. Wisdom leaves at the right time. Wisdom rests before exhaustion. And wisdom knows that refusal is also a form of obedience. I also place before you an important lesson. Do not go back to check whether old doors are still open. Some doors I have closed, not because what was behind them was evil, but because what lies ahead requires your full step. If you keep looking back, your steps will falter. You do not need to re-verify decisions made in the light. Light does not require justification. When doubt arises, do not argue at length. Return to the axis rhythm. Boundaries. Truth. The axis will hold you when emotions sway. My beloved child, walking long-term in a new identity also requires embracing durable ordinariness. Not every day carries a dramatic sign confirming that you are on the right path. Many days are simple. You wake, work, rest, speak, pray, sleep. Do not despise these days. It is in uneventful days that a new identity becomes anchored. Those who are unsteady often chase intensity to feel alive. Those who are steady know that durability matters more than height. Learn to face old memories without letting them define the present. There will be moments when memories visit not to pull you back, but to test whether you still react as before. When a memory comes, you do not need to drive it away. You simply remind yourself, that is the old story. I am here now. Place your feet in the present. Breathe slowly, and continue with what is before you. Each time you do this, you train your soul to remain in its new identity. Memories gradually lose their voice when the present is fully lived. A new identity does not isolate you. It places you in the right community. You will naturally find yourself near people who respect your rhythm, speak truth to you, and do not feed distractions. You do not need to exclude anyone in anger. Your consistency will arrange distance on its own. Relationships that no longer fit will recede without drama. Let me do that ordering. You simply remain in truth. On this long journey, I remind you of one essential truth. Do not equate a new identity with never needing help. Strength is not the absence of need. Strength is knowing when and with whom you are allowed to ask for help, to keep learning, to slow down. When you allow yourself to receive, you are not weak. You are living according to the order I placed in your body and soul. Those who receive well will give well. My child, I give you an inner covenant to carry with you through the long years ahead. I will not return to paths that have already been named. I will keep rhythm even when no one reminds me. I will correct early instead of enduring silently. I will speak truth instead of pleasing. I will move forward without looking back to ask the past for permission. This covenant does not bind you. It frees you to walk straight. You do not need to revisit old lessons to be sure you have learned them. The way you live now is already the answer. You are no longer standing at the threshold. You have stepped inside. And I am with you not only in this sacred moment, but in every ordinary day ahead, where your new identity will be lived out with durability and freedom. My child, now that you are standing firmly in your new identity, I lead you deeper into a lesson essential for the long journey, staying awake without becoming tense. For there are those who, after entering something new, live in constant vigilance, as though a single moment of ease would cause everything to collapse. But my child, I did not place you in freedom so that you would fear losing it. I placed you in freedom so that you might learn trust in the order that has been established, trust in the grace that is sustaining you, and trust that I am walking with you, my eyes never leaving you. The wakefulness I speak of is not straining to hear every sound, nor is it constant self-examination. Wakefulness is presence. When you are present with what you are doing, with the person before you, with the emotion unfolding within you, old grooves lose their grip. Those grooves survive on unconsciousness. When you live awake, they lose their ground. That is why I do not call you to control more. I call you to be present more deeply. My child, there will be times on this path when you no longer feel as strong as you did at the beginning. Do not rush to conclude that you are regressing. Strength often accompanies beginnings. Steadiness often accompanies quiet. When you no longer feel the need to prove yourself, when you no longer feel compelled to do it right by your own force, that is not the loss of fire. It is fire moving into the core. Fire in the core does not flare high, but it keeps warmth through the night. And it is this kind of fire you need for the long road. I also want you to learn to recognize small signals of misalignment before they become large ones, not so that you panic, but so that you adjust early. When you begin to sleep less because you are pushing just a little more, when you start saying yes while your heart is already weary, when you begin skipping the pauses that once saved you, these are signals. They do not accuse you, they invite you back. Every time you return early, you protect many months ahead. My beloved child, I also teach you not to sanctify busyness. Busyness can wear a noble face: responsibility, service, productivity. But when busyness begins to consume presence, it is no longer life. You do not need to abandon responsibility. You need to reorder it. Responsibility serves life. Life does not serve responsibility. When you remember this, you will work better without being mastered by your work. In your new identity, I also invite you to accept slower seasons without self-reproach. Not every season bears fruit in the same way. There are seasons of rooting, seasons of pruning, seasons of resting the soil. If you demand fruit from a resting season as though it were harvest time, you will damage both. Wisdom is recognizing which season you are in and living faithfully within it. I do not measure you by fixed output. I look at faithfulness according to season. Do not return to fight enemies that have already lost their power. There are fears, voices, and memories that were once strong, but now they are only echoes. If you continue arguing with them, you inadvertently restore their authority. When an echo comes, you do not need to respond. you continue living. A life well lived is the strongest answer. Learn to remain under guidance without demanding constant explanation. There are steps I lead you into that your mind will only partly understand. You do not need to understand everything before you obey. Mature obedience does not come from full comprehension. It comes from trusting enough to step. When you step and see fruit, understanding follows. If you insist on understanding first in order to feel safe, you will stand still for a long time. My beloved child, along this long journey, I may also allow you to encounter brief moments of loneliness, not because you have been left behind, but because you are entering a rhythm that not many yet recognize. Do not fear those moments. They do not last, and they do not mean you are on the wrong path. Often, brief loneliness is the cost of long-term faithfulness. I am in those moments, closer than you think. Your new identity must be lived out in very ordinary things, not only in prayer, not only in major decisions, but in how you speak, how you rest, how you refuse, how you apologize, how you listen. These small things are where identity is etched most deeply. Those who live rightly do not need to perform. They are consistent. Release the need to go back and explain yourself to the past. There are people, circumstances, and former versions of yourself who will never fully understand who you are now. You do not need to drag them along with explanations. Your life, when lived steadily, will speak for itself. When you stop seeking approval from places that no longer walk with you, you free immense energy for what is being built. I also place before you this truth. Walking a long road does not mean never getting tired. It means knowing where to rest. The one who burns out is not the one who goes far, but the one who goes without resting. Consider rest part of obedience, not a reward after you have done enough. When you rest rightly, you honor the design I placed within you. I give you a principle for lifelong living. When you feel tense, return to your presence. When you feel confused, return to rhythm. When you feel doubtful, return to fruit. When you feel weary, return to rest. When you feel lost, return to me. This principle is not complicated, but it keeps you on the path. You were not called to live strained for a lifetime. You were called to live deep. And when you live deep, old grooves lose their attraction. You do not need to fight them every day. You simply continue walking in your new identity, with gentle wakefulness and enduring trust. My beloved child, this is not the end of the journey, but the place where you learn how to live an entire lifetime in what has been given without losing it, without wearing it down, without returning to old cycles. Some run very fast at the start. Some endure in the middle, but few know how to remain to the end. And it is this remaining that is the quiet glory I am giving you. Abiding does not mean standing still. Abiding is movement without leaving the center. You still work, love, learn, and change, but you are no longer pulled away from the core. That core is not achievement, nor emotion. That core is my presence within you. When you abide, you no longer need to ask constantly, "Where am I in my life?" because you know you are in the right place, even when the road ahead is not yet clear. One of the hardest lessons of abiding is entrusting the future without abandoning the present. Some entrust by neglect, others control by worrying. I call you to neither. I call you to active surrender. You do your part fully today. Then place tomorrow in my hands. You do not need to carry what has not yet arrived, nor avoid the responsibility before you. When you live today fully, tomorrow finds its place. I want you to understand this clearly. Your future is not fragile. It does not depend on a single wrong decision, nor does it collapse because of one weak day. Your future is woven from trajectory, not moments, and your trajectory has changed. You are walking toward life, order, and a healthy rhythm. When the trajectory has shifted, small missteps cannot reverse the whole road. This does not make you careless, it makes you peaceful. Living a lifetime in what has been given requires accepting your finiteness. You are not called to do everything, understand everything, or rescue everyone. When you accept finiteness, you do not shrink your life, you make it real. Truth frees you from the illusion that you must always be strong, always right, always sufficient. You are allowed to learn slowly, to need time, to say, "I do not know." In those moments, I work most deeply, not to diminish you, but to place you in the right proportion with grace. Learn to keep your heart soft toward me without dissolving before the world. A soft heart does not mean being easily swept away. It means the ability to feel without losing your anchor. You can ache without despair, grieve without paralysis, rejoice without exaggeration. A soft heart allows you to live fully human emotions without letting emotions steer. When I am the anchor, emotions become guides, not commanders. In longing, you will learn to welcome change without losing yourself. The people around you will change. Circumstances will change. Roles will change. But you do not need to reinvent yourself every time the context shifts. You carry with you an identity that has been reset. And that identity is flexible enough to adapt without dissolving. Those who do not abide must constantly redefine themselves. Those who abide simply live out what has already been named. There is something very important for the long road. Do not live on memories of spiritual peaks. Peaks have their place. But if you live by memory, you will miss the present. I am not only the one who has done, I am the one who is doing. Every ordinary day bears my fingerprints in steady breathing, in small right choices made on time, in gentle refusals, in a full evening of rest. When you recognize me in the ordinary, your life becomes holy ground, my beloved child. Abiding also means not fearing endings. Some seasons will close. Some roles will be completed. Some relationships will change form. You do not need to cling in order to prove anything. When something is completed, you give thanks and release it. When something new opens, you step in with the wakefulness you have been trained in. Those who do not abide fear endings. Those who abide trust that every right ending opens what is fitting. Learn to keep your gaze far while your steps remain near. You may carry long-term dreams and visions for your life, but you must not live in them instead of taking today's step. Dreams are not a dwelling place. Dreams are a lighthouse. You walk one small step at a time in its light. When you walk faithfully, you will arrive not because you ran fast, but because you did not turn aside. In this final stretch, I place within you a deep freedom, the freedom of not needing results to validate meaning. You do what is right because it is right, not because it is noticed. You love because you love, not because it is returned. You rest because rest is needed, not because you have finished everything. When you live this way, your life becomes a testimony without words. Others may not fully understand you, but they will sense the truth within you. I teach you to tend the small flame each day, not with grand rituals, but with steady practices, a quiet moment, a short prayer, a hidden act of kindness, a decision to keep rhythm when invited to exceed it. That small flame, when faithfully tended, will not go out in strong winds. Those who wait for a great fire in order to believe will soon grow cold. Those who guard the small flame will be warm enough for the long night. I give you a way of living for a lifetime, not as a checklist, but as a breath rhythm. This rhythm does not bind you. It keeps you at home in me. Morning, you place yourself in the light. Day, you do the work before you fully. Afternoon, you release what does not belong to you. Evening, you rest in gratitude. Long term, you trust and keep walking. My beloved child, what I have begun in you, I will not abandon, but I will also not do for you what has been entrusted to you. You are invited to live, not strained, not proving, but fully, steadily, and freely. You do not need to return to paths that were left behind, nor do you need to fear that slowing down will cause you to lose your way. You have been placed on a path with enough light for each step, and now I walk with you into real life, where each day you will continue to write this story by the way you live. Choose rest, love, and trust. My child, go without haste, without fear, for you are being led. Thank you for listening to today's message. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so we can continue receiving words of life together, building a steadfast faith and walking in the boundless love of the Lord. Amen.